Right. So, Jim, talk to us about Jar of Hope and about coming to Atlantic City and also fighting, for different people, for your son, and for helping to raise money for others. Let's first talk about Jar of Hope.
Sure. The inspiration behind Jar of Hope is in its name. James Anthony Raffone. He's my son. And unfortunately, he was stricken with Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy at the age of 4. And since then, I have done everything in my power to try and save his life. And along the way, he has accumulated such an amazing support group known as Team Jamesy. And this this disease is known as Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It is a terminal muscle wasting disease that to date does not have a cure.
Wow.
Since the inception of Jar of Hope, we have done several different studies, several different drug compounds, therapies that one right now, currently known as JAR 914, is in children and is doing very well. It's proven that 100% of the children have showed signs of benefits, which is amazing because
Wow.
children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, the statistics are god awful. By the age of 9, they lose the ability to walk. By age 15, they're quadriplegics. By age 17, they're typically on ventilators. And then, unfortunately, by the age of 20, they pass away from cardiac arrest.
Wow.
And this has been going on for 200 years.
Wow.
Not one child has been able to survive since. So it's really a race against time, and that's what we're doing, and that's why 8 years later, unfortunately due to COVID, as you now personally have been dealing with,
Mhm.
charities like my own have not been able to gather. We have not been able to raise funds. We have in the last 18 months have been down about 89%. So it led me to do things that I would on a regular day not do. But thanks to the huge heart of Damon Feldman, and of course my persistence to encourage him to learn more about Jar of Hope, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, I opened his eyes to this deadly disease. And he is in a forum where, it takes every bit of your muscles to do what you do.
That's right.
So once we put that two together, he gave me an opportunity to fight, and his industry has welcomed Jar of Hope fantastically. And now I will be fighting Saturday night for the second time
Mhm.
under the celebrity boxing umbrella, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that's great. And now, were you always a fighter? Like, did you have to learn to do it for this, or are you just strictly doing it just to raise money for this?
So I never fought. I never believed in fighting, street fight or anything of that nature. But boxing has always been an amazing skill set to learn for me, because in order to be a good boxer like Mike Tyson, though you need to be a big burly guy, you still need to know technique.
Mhm.
And so I never had a need for it. I was a family man. I had a construction company, always businesses that always took my time away from me being, putting some time into my personal health. But when this opportunity came up, the first fight that I fought June 10th in 2021, I sought out Imamo Mayfield at the recommendation of a few friends of mine, who was a cruiserweight champion, and he agreed to train me for 10 weeks to get ready for that fight, which was fantastic. And it proved to be one of the best lessons I've ever learned. And, thank goodness I won that fight, a 40-second TKO in the second round. My training for this fight, not so much. Our camp was only 6 weeks, because right after the fight in July, I ran 300 miles,
Oh my God.
because we have this never ending quest to try and find this cure. Drug studies cost a god awful amount of money. So we have to raise a close to $75,000 every 90 days to get children into drug therapy. So when I fought the first time, I was fortunate enough to raise $33,000. This go around, I'm trying to raise $30,000 for a family who lives in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, who
Okay.
unfortunately has a child with Duchenne who's a quadriplegic at the age of 16. but they
Wow.
have no way of getting him around. So I thought that we should collectively, Team Jamesy would go out and try and raise the funds to get the family a wheelchair accessible van.
Or is there a larger organization that does this as well? Like, how does it work? Like, can you as one person really make a difference if people donate to you specifically, to Jar of Hope?
So that's a great question. Jar of Hope has become a global entity over the last 8 years, and we can, if someone donates to Jar of Hope, we can change the lives of children today.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's not a matter of, we get the money, we put it in a kitty and then donate to a larger organization
Right.
where it goes, you're throwing a rock into the ocean, right? So you're basically throwing a boulder into a puddle when you're with us, which makes a huge wave of a difference for these children today. Like this family in Perth Amboy, this child cannot get in and out of a car safely. The mom has to pick him up, and he's a 160-pound boy. And, that's just all negative weight on
Right.
her. And she's a tiny woman to get him in and out of the car. So just think about the fact that we raised $30,000, which is not a lot of money, to
Mm-hmm.
buy them a wheelchair accessible van. He can drive his wheelchair out of his home,
Mm-hmm.
right into the car, and she can safely take him to therapy, where he's a quadriplegic and he's been receiving the drug from JAR 914 from Jar of Hope since January of 2021. He has now been able to sit upright after feeding himself. So just imagine that simple movement that we take daily as we bend over to put food in our into our face, our mouth. This child can do something that he has not been able to do for years.
Wow.
And we just started. We're just getting started with this.
Is there a specific celebrity or a specific person you hope that hears this that you want to work with and team up with?
Well, my heart goes out to, and the first person I think of is Ernie Johnson, who just lost a son, 31 years old, to Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. And my condolences to him and his family. But if somebody like Ernie Johnson, who is a TNT basketball commentator, who has the platform to talk about Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy and potentially the network to introduce us to people who have those discretionary funds that can write bigger checks without feeling it, I would love to sit down 5 minutes with him, just because he knows what we're going through. He unfortunately is the senior classman in this school of life that we're learning every day. And we need someone like him. We need a Conor McGregor, who, though is very boisterous and crazy, has a huge heart and is an intelligent businessman. A lot of people don't know that side of Conor McGregor. And maybe a Dana White, right? If a Dana White would see what we're doing. Again, it's all of these individuals in this fitness arena that are obtaining and securing all of their wealth through fighting and muscle and health and fitness. If they were to get behind this muscle wasting disease, we may potentially eradicate it.
Wow.
And we really need their help.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, I would love for people to donate and support it for you. Where can they do this? Is there a website?
Yes, please. They can go to jarofhope.org. Right on the webpage, the homepage, they could just click the donate now button, and their donations are incredibly appreciated.
On the website, do you have the different people that need help? Like, for instance, the kid in Perth Amboy, is that featured on there? Can people donate if they go to the site?
Absolutely. So we have something we call campaign buckets. So if they click on our campaigns, they'll see there's a little bucket with his picture that says, let's help Martin Jr. purchase that wheelchair accessible van. If they click on that bucket right there, all those funds go right to his cause.
Wow. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So after this fight, you're fighting for that. And, hopefully, you'll raise some really great funds at that point. You'll continue to raise the funds until the kid gets what he needs. There's no end date.
No, there's no end to this. Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Yeah.
We had much success recently. We just raised $25,000 in 2.5 days, thanks to the media, thanks to people like yourself in your industry who helped us get the word out for a little boy who needed a hyperbaric chamber. and
Wow.
we raised $25,000 in 2.5 days. So
Wow.
I hope and pray that after this gets aired, that people will react and people will help us.
Yeah, let's hope. Well, Jim, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. And, it's just such a great cause. And the fact that you're putting yourself out there, to raise the funds, you're not just behind the scenes is a big deal, and it, affects you personally. And it's really helping a lot of people. So thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, Whitney, it's my pleasure. And for your audience to fully understand my commitment to this cause, Saturday night, I'll be in Atlantic City at the Showboat Hotel fighting for celebrity boxing. Then Sunday morning, less than 12 hours later, I will be in New York City running the New York City Marathon.
Oh my gosh.
So I am all in on this cause, and I am committed to help the children at least get one child to survive this disease.
Yes,
Because we as parents, it's our job, it's our responsibility.
that's right. Wow. Thank you so much, Jim. You're the best. Thank you so very much. And I can't wait to help spread the word about this for you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.